And so we continue on with chapter 4, which is an important chapter. Now Victor commences to get these body parts and put them together in order to make his child. And he uses, Mary Shelley, I should say, through Victor, uses images that reflect aspects of pregnancy and childbirth. Victor says, "My cheek had grown pale with study, and my person had become emaciated with confinement." Victor is confining himself to his quarters. And for a long time, even in the 20th centuries, pregnant women were confined. Pregnant women didn't go out in polite societies. As a matter of fact, it was often ignored that women were even pregnant. Even when I was a child, we didn't really talk about women being pregnant, and teachers were never pregnant. Oh my goodness. That's another story, though. That doesn't have anything to do with this. He also goes on to say, with unrelaxed and breathless eagerness, I pursued nature to her hiding places. He's still pursuing this. He says, "Who shall conceive the horrors of my secret toil as I dabbled among the unhallowed damps of the grave, or tortured the living animal to animate the lifeless clay?" So not only is he experimenting with dead things, it sounds as if he's experimenting with live animals as well. He sings, "I seem to have lost all soul or sensation but for this one pursuit." And then he goes on to say about where he is doing this, creating his womb or his uterus. "I kept my workshop of filthy creation." Now, this does not mean that his workshop was dirty and he needed to sweep and dust. It was the actions of what he was doing that were unhallowed and against the laws of nature. Now, outside, where he is not going, it's beautiful. He said, "Never did the fields bestow a more plentiful harvest, or the vines yield a more luxuriant vintage." But he is separated from that. He is sequestered and cloistered within his room. And he has essentially, by his act of creation, separated himself from the rest of the world. He is defying nature and then therefore does not have access to it anymore. He goes on to say that any time that you are centered in on any activity, you become unbalanced. And he is unbalanced to the max. And he says, "Winter, spring, and summer passed away during my labors, but I did not watch the blossom or the expanding leaves, sights which had before always yielded me supreme delight. So deeply was I engrossed in my occupation. And then, every night, I was oppressed by a slow fever, and I became nervous to a most painful degree. The energy of my purpose alone sustained me. My labors would soon end, and I believe that exercise and amusement would drive away incipient disease, and I promised myself both of these when my creation should be complete." And so again, he is confining himself. He is talking about labor and his birth and creation, and he is single-mindedly centered in on this to the point where the rest of the world doesn't even exist. He is sorely out of balance.